The Vegetable Orchestra, music you can eat. When you think of an orchestra, what comes to mind? Violins? Trumpets? A conductor waving a baton like a wizard? Now imagine replacing those polished instruments with carrots, pumpkins, turnips, and cucumbers. Welcome to the strange and wonderful world of the Vegetable Orchestra, a group that proves you don't need brass or strings to make music. You just need a good set of groceries. From supermarket to stage. The Vegetable Orchestra was born in Vienna, Austria, in 1998. When a group of adventurous artists asked themselves, what would happen if we made instruments out of vegetables? Instead of heading to a music shop, they rolled their carts down to the local market. Where most people saw a soup waiting to happen, they saw flutes, drums, and trumpets in disguise. Every performance begins with a shopping trip to a local market, where the orchestra members prioritize fresh, often organic, and locally sourced vegetables. A floppy carrot won't do. A mushy cucumber is useless. They need sturdy produce that can survive drilling, carving, and the occasional enthusiastic solo. In other words, this orchestra shops like chefs, but cooks like carpenters. Crafting cucumbers into clarinets. Turning a vegetable into an instrument is part science experiment, part kitchen chaos. A carrot might become a recorder. A pumpkin, once hollowed, turns into a drum. Leeks are surprisingly good for percussion. And cucumbers, well, they can be anything from a flute to a bass clarinet. If you've got the patience and a sharp knife, the musicians drill holes, saw off ends, and carefully shape each vegetable. It's not unusual to see them backstage with power tools and a mountain of vegetable scraps. In fact, the air smells more like a salad bar than a concert hall. The instruments are delicate, though. A carrot clarinet doesn't last longer than one concert. By the end of the evening, most of the orchestra's instruments are on their way to becoming compost or dinner. A sound like no other. So, what does a vegetable orchestra sound like? Not quite like Mozart, but not like a kitchen accident either. Imagine deep, earthy drumbeats from pumpkins, high squeaky notes from carrot flutes, and the crisp rustle of leek percussion. It's playful, a little silly, and oddly beautiful. The sound has been described as somewhere between electronic music and folk traditions, only with more vitamins. And while it may seem like a gimmick, the Vegetable Orchestra takes its art seriously. They compose original pieces, blending rhythm and melody, in ways you wouldn't expect from root vegetables. They've performed across Europe, Asia, and the United States, leaving audiences wide-eyed and hungry. Dinner and a show. Of course, the orchestra faces one unique problem. What to do with all those leftover vegetables? The answer is delicious. After many concerts, the group cooks up a big pot of vegetable soup, using scraps from the instruments. Audience members are invited to share, making it possibly the only concert where the encore comes in a bowl. This tradition turns the performance into a full sensory experience. You don't just hear the music, you smell it, you taste it. You feel it crunch under the musician's fingers. It's art you can eat. More than just a joke. At first glance, a band made of cucumbers and carrots might sound like a prank. But the Vegetable Orchestra has a deeper purpose. They challenge audiences to rethink what music can be. Do instruments have to be made of wood, brass, or plastic? Or can they come from the produce aisle? The orchestra blurs the line between art, nature, and everyday life. It's also a playful reminder about sustainability. Vegetables are renewable, biodegradable, and cheap. No one is cutting down rainforests to make a carrot flute. Plus, when the concert is over, there's no waste, only dinner. The humor of healthy music. Of course, you can't ignore the comedy. Watching a serious-looking musician blow into a cucumber like it's a golden saxophone is, frankly, hilarious. The audience often giggles, then gasps, then applauds. The orchestra knows this. They lean into the absurdity, mixing humor with skill. It's one part concert, one part comedy act, and one part cooking show. And let's be honest, who wouldn't smile at the phrase pumpkin bass drum? It's like something out of a fairy tale, only real and surprisingly rhythmic. A fresh take on music. Over the years, the Vegetable Orchestra has recorded albums, appeared on television, and inspired other artists to experiment with edible instruments. They've shown that creativity doesn't always come from high-tech gadgets or expensive equipment. Sometimes, it comes from looking at an ordinary carrot and thinking, I bet this would make a great trumpet. Their performances continue to attract curious audiences, from music lovers to foodies to kids who simply enjoy seeing a zucchini used as a trombone. It's proof that music is everywhere, even in your refrigerator. Final thoughts, a symphony of salad. The Vegetable Orchestra may never replace the Vienna Philharmonic, but that's not the point. Their mission isn't to compete with Beethoven. It's to expand our idea of what counts as music, to make people laugh, and to connect art with everyday life in the most down-to-earth way possible. So, next time you're chopping vegetables for dinner, pause for a moment. Tap that pumpkin, blow through that carrot, strum a leek, if you dare. You might not start an orchestra, but you'll hear the world differently. And who knows, maybe your kitchen will become the next great concert hall.
It's time to study new words in context. 1. Wizard. Definition: a person who is very skilled at doing something, often as if they have magic powers. Example: he is a computer wizard who can fix any problem in minutes. 2. In disguise. Definition: hidden behind a different appearance or identity, so others do not recognize it. Example: the spy entered the building in disguise as a janitor. 3. Prioritize. Definition: to decide what is most important and deal with that first. Example: you should prioritize your homework before going out with friends. 4. Floppy. Definition: soft and loose, not firm or stiff. Example: the dog's floppy ears bounced as it ran. 5. Mushy. Definition: soft, wet, and easy to mash or break apart. Example: the strawberries became mushy after sitting in the sun all day. 6. Sturdy. Definition: strong and not easily broken or damaged. Example: the sturdy table can hold a lot of weight. 7. Leeks. Definition: a long, green vegetable with white at the bottom, similar to a large green onion. Example: she chopped leeks to add flavor to the soup. 8. Scrap. Definition: a small leftover piece of something that is usually thrown away. Example: he used a scrap of wood to fix the chair. 9. Compost. Definition: a natural fertilizer, made by letting food and plant waste break down over time. Example: we put vegetable peels into the compost pile to help our garden grow. 10. Crisp. Definition: firm, fresh, and making a sharp sound when bitten. Example: the apple was so crisp that it made a loud snap when she bit into it. 11. Gimmick. Definition: a clever or unusual trick used to attract attention. Example: the free gift was just a marketing gimmick to make people buy more. 12. Sensory. Definition: related to the senses such as sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Example: the concert was a sensory experience, with bright lights and deep sounds. 13. Crunch. Definition: a loud, crisp sound made when something hard is crushed or chewed. Example: she could hear the crunch of dry leaves under her shoes. 14. Sustainability. Definition: a way of living, or using resources that protects the environment for the future. Example: sustainability is important for keeping the planet healthy. 15. Biodegradable. Definition: able to break down naturally into harmless substances over time. Example: we should use biodegradable bags instead of plastic ones. 16. Hilarious. Definition: very funny and causing a lot of laughter. Example: the comedian told a hilarious story that made everyone laugh. 17. Giggle. Definition: to laugh in a quiet, light, and sometimes nervous way. Example: the children began to giggle when they saw the clown. 18. Gasp. Definition: to suddenly breathe in with surprise, fear, or shock. Example: the audience let out a loud gasp when the magician disappeared. 19. Edible. Definition: safe and suitable to eat. Example: these flowers are edible and can be added to salads. 20. Foodies. Definition: people who love food and enjoy exploring different kinds of it. Example: the foodies traveled across the city to try a famous new restaurant. 21. Zucchini. Definition: a green vegetable shaped like a cucumber, often cooked or grilled. Example: she sliced the zucchini and fried it with garlic. 22. Down-to-earth way. Definition: a simple, practical, and natural manner of doing something. Example: he explained the science experiment in a down-to-earth way that everyone could understand.
Comprehension questions. 1. Where and when was the Vegetable Orchestra founded? Answer: it was founded in Vienna, Austria in 1998. 2. What makes the Vegetable Orchestra different from other orchestras? Answer: instead of using traditional instruments like violins or trumpets, they make instruments out of fresh vegetables. 3. What is the first step the orchestra takes before a performance? Answer: they go shopping at a local market to choose fresh, often organic and locally sourced vegetables. 4. Why can't the musicians use floppy carrots or mushy cucumbers? Answer: because they need strong, firm vegetables that can survive carving, drilling, and being played during the concert. 5. Give 2 examples of how vegetables are turned into instruments. Answer: carrots can be made into recorders or flutes, and pumpkins can be hollowed out and used as drums. 6. How long does a carrot clarinet usually last? Answer: it lasts for only one concert before it has to be replaced. 7. What does the Vegetable Orchestra's music sound like? Answer: it sounds playful, a mix of deep, earthy drum beats and high, squeaky flute notes, often described as somewhere between electronic and folk music. 8. What happens with the leftover vegetables after a concert? Answer: the orchestra cooks the scraps into a big pot of vegetable soup and shares it with the audience. 9. What deeper purpose does the orchestra serve beyond being funny? Answer: they challenge people to rethink what music can be and promote sustainability by showing that instruments can be renewable and biodegradable. 10. How does the orchestra bring humor into their performances? Answer: it's funny to see serious musicians playing cucumbers or pumpkins like professional instruments, which makes audiences laugh as well as listen. 11. What message does the orchestra send about creativity? Answer: creativity doesn't always come from expensive tools. It can come from ordinary, everyday items like vegetables. 12. What final idea does the article suggest to readers about vegetables? Answer: that next time you cook, you could try tapping or blowing through your vegetables, and imagine your kitchen as a concert hall.